we'll move on to the next
All right.
speaker, Bhavna Akbarji.
Thank you very much.
Bhavna Akbarji, are you ready? She is going to speak on a comparative analysis on the health systems of Hawaii and India.
That's Hawaiian Namaste. The talk is about the comparative analysis of health traditions of India and Hawaii. And I'm Ayurvedic doctor who was in Hawaii for 4 months, and I attended the classes of Hawaiian medicine. The talk will be in 3 sections: the environmentalism of ancient Hawaiians and Hawaiian connections to India, Ayurveda, and Laulapau. Laulapau is the Hawaiian medicine. This is Hawaii, and it has 7 islands. It's the most isolated place in the world because the nearest landmass is 3,000 miles away. The earliest human settlement in Hawaii dates back to 300 CE. Where they went from, we don't know. Only thing we know is that they carried turmeric with them. They lived this really environmentalistic attitude. They believed that there was only one body of life to which all of them belonged. The land, sea, and sky were also part of the body. Everything that grew in land, swam in oceans, and flew in the skies were also a part of a family, or the ohana. Humans were part of all the things, and all the things were part of humans. So you cannot actually hit anyone without hitting your own self, because the apart from the body also there existed a body. So the violence was completely against their rules. They did not destroy anything. A plant to be picked. They did not destroy anything. A plant to be picked was spoken to and explained why it was being done. Even a rock was asked for approval before moving for the construction. If the signs were against the use, they would move to another rock. Uh, there was a concept called mana, the psychic powers. Every child at birth is born with a bowl of perfect light, and when it tends to the light, that it grows. If you start feeling jealousy or envy about somebody, then you start throwing stones at it, and if the bowl becomes totally stony, then the person also becomes a stone, does not grow or move. So all he has to do is change his attitude and reverse the bowl, and the light comes back. The person with lot of light is actually considered as a highly powerful. So that means that person needn't even have to carry a rock. The weight will not be there, and he'll only be carrying it with his mental powers. The person with high mental power can actually swim with the sharks, and this is their belief. And that's why they never had jealousy. They never collected anything. They never were greedy. There was no want, no waste. If they get 2 fishes, they would throw one back to the sea and eat only one. Whatever they needed, only that much they followed. And now you may question, how can the people who eat fishes and chickens be the environmentalist after listening to RP Jain? Because Hawaii is just mountains and ocean. They actually believe that without destroying the mountains to grow the agricultural land, they grew only the taros and the gourds, and they ate the fishes also. Their way of environmentalism. The only thing a person ever had was a kapu, that is a small eating bowl, and a kappa, that is what he wears. Apart from that, everything else belonged to the entire community. And this is the 2 things that nobody can steal. This is what the kappa actually means, this blue color dress that he is wearing. And the fantastic concept that they have is the Aumakua, the ancestral worship, which about the Indic ancestral worship, we had a great presentation yesterday. The same thing there also was practiced by the Hawaiians also. They had numerous gods and goddesses, and the main goddess were their own ancestors and their parents. Whoever dies becomes a god, and they comes back. The rebirth, the concept of rebirth is there, but they can come back in the form of a lizard, shark, owl, etc. And some people have Aumakua as a natural phenomenon, like thunders or tides. Everything that is natural is actually their way of life. The only rule the Hawaiian was that they all are one, so they cannot hit anybody. Within the family, the first cousins, half brothers, half sisters, everybody were addressed as sisters and brothers. All the people of their parents' generation are called as makua, same word for their biological father and uncle and aunties, everything the same word. And the grandparents were called as Kapuna. It's for male, female, same. There is no gender distinction. A child belonged to all the family and not one set of parents. The main god is called Pile, that is a volcano. The volcano is not considered as a punishment of the god. It is actually the god, the joy of God, that they create more land for them. So the land belonged to the Pile. The man can only use the land but cannot own the land. So there were no title deeds. So maybe when the British came, they misused it and they took away all the land from the Hawaiians. Now, the lands which Hawaiians once owned is owned by the white people, and they have made resorts. And in the same resort, the Hawaiians are actually the janitors. It's so painful to see that. But yeah, they traded with the outside world. The canoe was operated and directions were traced using the stars. These are the things that they have actually have chants, something like our hymns, and they have preserved it in them. There is no literature available because until the Hawaii was explored by Thomas Cook, there was no documentation. The Hawaiian language didn't have a script. So whatever it is there, their history is mostly written by the British. It's the wrong history. Finally, the Hawaiians learned the English script and they started writing their perspective of their history. And this is what my conversations with the Hawaiians and the books about what Hawaiians wrote, that I'm actually presenting here. The second set of travelers came in 1000 CE from Tahiti, a Polynesian island. They initially were skeptical that they actually wanted to be the chieftains, the rulers. There were war, bloodshed, but eventually they accepted the Hawaiian way of aloha living. This is an example. This is like a tax that the collected by the chieftain, or a gift that the people presented. This is a gown of the king or the chieftain, and it is not made up of silver or gold. It is made by the feathers of the bird. The branches of the trees are smeared with honey. When a bird sits on it, a few of its feathers get stuck into the branch. The bird is released into the sky, and the feathers are collected. And this takes hundreds and hundreds of years to make one gown. And this actually is gifted to the king. This is the most valuable gift. And this is another aloha mat. This was the mat, the weave, and they paid it as tax to the chieftains until the British made the cash as the taxation form. In 1200, from 1200 to 1776, the contacts with the outside world got sealed. The Hawaii became a self-sufficient economy, or what we call today as Atmanirbhar. They grew their food. They weaved their kapa using the fibers of the fern called as hapu'u. It's a very soft fabric. And this nut, what you see, is called as kakui nut, and this is used to light the lamps. And even now, this is available. This is actually made as a necklace and given away to the scholars and anybody, any kumu, the guru who shows the light over there. Okay, this is when the Thomas Cook entered and he gave them an epidemic and also the consumerism. The measles took toll. From 1 million, they became just 30,000 people. So the within family weddings happened. Okay, so there was no war before that. And then the guns entered, because with the British, guns entered, gunpowder entered, people fought with each other. Finally, King Kamehameha unified all the islands and became the king of Hawaii in 1810. Okay, till then the history of Hawaii. Now, what is the Hawaiian connection to India? The first immigrants is told that they traveled with turmeric with them. Turmeric is native Indian plant, so there is a high possibility that they are Indians. The Kanaka Maulis, they actually very much resemble South Asians. I was get confused for a Kanaka Mauli so many times, and I have confused many Kanaka Maulis to be South Indians and thinking that they will invite me for dosa, but it didn't happen. Everybody were not the native Hawaiians and not South Indians, but the resemblance is really striking. The language also is very much like a South Indian Proto-Dravidian language, though it's very primitive. But I think there's more research needed in this field. This actually, there is a Hawaiian lady there. I call her as my Hawaiian mother. She's also the art of living teacher. And she was saying that even Sri Ravi Shankar ji also felt the same, seeing the boards and all written over there, that it sounds so much like a South Indian language. So I don't know if there are any linguists here who wants to take up a new project. Please do this. Whether a Hawaiian language is a Proto-Dravidian language. The burial of dead actually resembles the pot burial of Indus people. And the one more thing, the temple of the Hawaiians, they have one standing rock, and then there is I mean that their structure, the rock, actually it resembles shivling very much. Maybe there could be some connection. This is my hypothesis, and somebody wants to do a research on this. Now, Ayurveda and Laulapau. According to Ayurveda, treatment is of three types: Daiva Vyapashraya, Yukti Vyapashraya, and Sattva Vajaya. Daiva Vyapashraya is mostly faith-based, and you see it mostly in Atharva Veda. By the time the Samhitas were written, Charaka, Sushruta, and all, we had come to the Yukti Vyapashraya, the logic-based, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, or Pancha Mahabhutas. Based, the diagnosis is based on those Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the symptoms. Sattva Vajaya is the counseling aspect for mostly the psychosomatic or the psychic disorders. Hawaiian medicine, the Yukti Vyapashraya is very minimal. They don't have a real structure of how the diseases are caused. Again, everything, it gets traced back to the ancestors or the hatred and jealousy. The Sattva Vajaya is very strong, and so is Daiva Vyapashraya, but Yukti Vyapashraya is very minimal. Jealousy, hatred, dissatisfaction of spirit, family, ancestor are believed to be the causes of the death, and causes of the diseases. There is second group of illness aroused within the body, which requires herbs to heal. The diagnosis is mostly done again with the help of the ancestral things. There is this Theodore Kelsey. In his book, he records that a woman, Kahuna is a doctor, had conversations with a bird, Aumakua, that answered her questions by quick sounds. So there was no bird, but she actually had questions, and the Aumakua answered. This is mostly, most of their diagnosis is this way, and also based on the symptoms, only symptomatic treatment. You may think that it is very primitive, but for their needs, this was sufficient. They never had any infectious diseases. All they had was these psychosomatic ones. For this was the treatment, and this was so sufficient for them. This is the list of Hawaiian gods, which is very similar to the Vedic gods. They have a god for breath, breath of life. They have god for healing and rains. Very striking is the first one. So she is like हम माता रानी जिसे बोलते हैं नॉर्थ इंडिया में, अम्मा बोलते हैं साउथ इंडिया में. That is the same. They also believe it is because of the lady, the god or the goddess gets possessed, and the people get chicken pox. There are also the plants which are named after the gods, like we have tulsi here, or bilva, etc. The massages are of three types, and these are very primitive ones, but they are distinct from Ayurvedic massages. They have, and Ayurvedic massages are not just massages, they're also preparatory for the Panchakarma. They don't have Panchakarma, but the massages are so distinct and very popular in those beaches of Hawaii. This is the most unfortunate thing. They initially had 300 medicinal plants, but now there are only 30 available. The urbanization, deforestation, the resort building, tourism took a toll on Hawaiian culture. And so there is only the 30 available, out of which many are from actually of Indian origin. This is a list of them. Like I was so glad when Shivananji was saying that we won't be actually reaching this stage. And there is something more also I want to share, that 2 days ago, the government announced 4,000 crore money to promote medicinal plant cultivation. Hawaiians do not have fasting, which is so distinct from Ayurveda, where we say fasting is the treatment for most of the diseases. There is, every time you get person gets well, there will be a family feast. It is unlike Ayurveda, where they say even after you get well, you have to do patya. In other islands of Polynesia and Micronesia, deformed children were actually not taken care of. They were considered as curse, etc. But Hawaiians took care of the deformed children also, the greatness of Hawaiians. So the conclusion, there is more research is needed to explore the healing system of Hawaii. Hawaiian healing is more spiritual, and due to lack of diversity of vegetation, number of herbs in Hawaiian healing is limited, and further research can be done on the Indian origin of Hawaiian settlers. Mahalo, which means thank you.
This is a fascinating paper. There's a lot of response also. If you see the chat box, many people are remembering South American similarities, African similarities. Jaijina is saying that probably anthropologists have not sufficiently covered this area, particularly from an environmentalist point of view. And you being an Ayurvedic doctor from Karnataka and studying it from a comparison point of view is a great addition. Let us see if there are some questions. Okay. Uh, Most of the responses are not questions, they are all comments. They are all just agreeing with you. They are saying that there is a lot to learn from this paper. So I don't see any questions. So let us then move on to the next speaker.